To another episode of Talking Tech. I'm joined today by co-host Karen Simons, who's our head of advertising, and we are joined by Kayleigh Bateman, MD of SheCanCode. So welcome, Kayleigh. Welcome, Karen. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Not at all. I mean, I hope you don't mind. Maybe we could start by a little introduction, Kayleigh, on you and our partnership with SheCanCode. Maybe you could start with that.
Yes, absolutely. So a little bit about me to get started. I fell into tech. I'm one of those people that fell into tech. There's lots of us. But I wanted to be a journalist when I was 11. I wanted to be KAD because she was on the news and she was there being amazing. And my parents were like, maybe not war correspondent, but we talk about journalism. So I stayed on that track and applied everywhere when I could. And I was really lucky. I got a placement at Smash Hits magazine. Do you remember Smash Hits?
Yeah.
I worked there. Yeah. And that was my first placement. And then from there, I went on to university, graduated, and then fell into tech because I didn't quite know where I was going to go, and I fell into tech. And it was actually a lady who was a female editor on a B2B tech publication, and she gave me my first job. And she said to me at a Christmas party, she said, "You reminded me of me." And I thought, I don't know if I'm offended by this because she was very drunk. And I thought, wow, how lovely. But it did make me think that people hire what they know. And if you don't happen to come across somebody that reminds them of you, then, you know, it's very difficult to break into certain industries. And then from then I was really lucky. I worked Computer Weekly. I was very lucky to work there for a long time. Information Age, World Tech Women. And I've been very lucky. I've contributed to pieces for the BBC, FT, Sunday Times, the World Economic Forum, amongst some others. And then I joined SheCanCode. I was really lucky that job came up, and I started SheCanCode 3 years ago. And now I'm really blessed. I tell the stories of our community members. And last year I was promoted to MD. So I'm now responsible for our community and our partnerships. And one of those partnerships is with you guys at Client Server. And our partnerships are just so incredibly special to us. They are more than just, you know, how using the community and what it means. You literally keep our lights on, keep us going, keep our mission going, and we just couldn't do it without our corporate ambassadors and our partners, just like you.
It's very happy to be on board.
Yeah, exactly. We've always been very committed to whether it's been women in tech or diversity in technology, and I think it's something, especially in tech, is huge, and having a commitment to it is massive. Can you tell us a bit about how SheCanCode itself came about? What was the idea behind it and how that came about?
Yeah, so our story surprises people because we were actually started by two guys, and everybody thinks we're going to be started by women, but the idea actually came about 8 years ago. We started as a blog, and we were started by two guys called Will and Harry, not royalty. We are not connected to the princes or royalty. And hilariously, we also have a team member called Megan, and it's like we're growing our own small royal family, but we are not royalty. But the idea came about, Will and Harry own a recruitment business. And we're not a recruitment business. We're very much a collaborative, free community. But the idea came from their clients were saying, where are all the women in tech? They wanted to place more women in tech. And they said, you know what, we don't know, but perhaps we could start a blog. So along with another female colleague at the time, they started SheCanCode.io as a blog. To start finding an audience and to start finding where they are. They are our parent company, but we are very much our own mission and community. But it came from there. And last year, we decided to turn that blog, which was a one-way street. We've got great traffic coming through there, but we couldn't connect our community unless they were at one of our events or, you know, on our webinars, for instance. So we decided to launch a portal last year where everybody could come in, connect and support each other, and that became a two-way street, and then we could actually become a full-blown organic growing community. So that was last March. We have 11,500 members in there already. They are real people. They have to put in certain things to get in, so we know they're not bots. But we are growing globally. We're all over the world. And I'm not going to lie, when we started, we said, what if they don't come in? Like, we have this great audience, but what if they don't come in? So there was always that worry of, we think they need a home and we need to make this a good place for them to come and connect. And luckily, after a lot of practice by behaviour, we did a lot of work on competitions, leadership, leaderboards, to get people engaging. It took off, and now they do our job, thankfully. So we have lots of SheCanCode advocates in there that support us. They talk to our community, they go back to each other. They've sent over 4,000 encrypted direct messages to each other in the last year. They are chatty. So thank goodness that they needed a home, and we provide that space, and our partners support us to provide that space, because without it they can't connect and support each other, find new opportunities and help each other with training, etc. So if we couldn't have that platform without our partners, you know, our mission to try and close that skills gap, it just wouldn't work.
And is it I suppose having that community, it's obviously organically growing and they're helping each other wherever they can. Is there like a common or maybe a repetitive theme of why, or what are the reasons that it's hard for women to progress in technology and get involved? What are the main barriers to that, do you think it is?
Oh, that is a loaded question. There are lots of barriers. There are so many barriers. And I think one of the main things is the lack of role models and visibility. I always say, when I talk about my journey, that I wanted to be Kayleigh. She was on the news. She was there, she had press, she had her hat on, like she had that, she was there in a war zone. And maybe that wasn't the best career choice, but she was visible. That's what I could see, and that's what I could relate to. So a lot of it is who you see, who you're inspired by as a child, and then that obviously progresses into which subjects you pick, what you choose to go to at university as well. But then when you do get into tech, if you do get in, there's also a lack in leadership roles, a lack of women in leadership roles as well. So that can make it really difficult to progress in your career or to see a path as well. So lots of ladies then drop out mid-career level. But also just a lack of awareness about the tech industry itself, what jobs are available, what they entail, that you don't have to be a coder, that you don't have to be techie. And also, we don't help that as an industry because we have loads of jargon that we don't really need, that just confuses everyone. We have really intimidating job application processes that we probably don't need, and we want you on, and we're going to train you up with all the gaps that we might have anyway. And then all of that just feeds into lack of confidence. And then if you do get in, you have that, we all had it, imposter syndrome. And the one thing that I wish somebody had told me when I started was everybody else in the room is also thinking, I'm going to get found out, someone's going to find me out. We're all thinking the same thing. Yeah. And the sooner you realise that other people are just finding ways to overcome that, and to not to hide it, but to kind of, you know, make sure that they can get past that feeling in those meetings, that I wish I'd known that so much sooner. We're all thinking imposter syndrome.
And SheCanCode is really good in terms of the mentorship programs that you offer as well. I think that's a really important part of it, isn't it? Where, you know, as you say, women may not have those sort of role models or that, you know, ability to feel supported, and the mentorship program outside of where they work is actually really, really valuable as well.
Yes, exactly. And you hit the nail on the head. Outside of where you work is so important, in addition to inside where you work, because you'll share different things with different mentors. You can trust them in different ways. You might not want to tell somebody something in your own company because you're not quite sure about, you know, challenges that you're having that come up. So mentorship definitely, and for people to inspire you to think, that could be my next step. And that isn't always who you think it's going to be. I mean, we have some amazing role models in tech who are very senior CEOs. You see them speaking at conferences. They have the beautiful blowout and the Chanel necklaces, and you sit there and you think, I can't relate. I can't relate to that as my next step. How do I get there, or do I even want to get there, is also the question, because not everybody does. So having lots of role models in lots of different positions as well, and lots of different disciplines, is so important, and finding those in places like our community can make such a difference to your career path and where you would like to go next.
On that, and Kaz mentioned the mentoring program that SheCanCode's got. What other kind of programs or support networks do you offer, and do your community get involved in to kind of make them more aware of those types of things?
Yeah, so we have our free mentoring program, which actually was our community asked us to launch it, which was great. Though we just connect the dots between those that want to do that, and it is free, and we love people coming in and finding mentors. We also have other programs around. We hold hackathons every year as well, and we try and make it clear to people that if you have never been to a hackathon, come along and try it. Just come along and try it. Something for the day. You don't have to be a coder. It's not intimidating. We feed you all day. We just split you in teams. Try something fun. Yeah, and at the end of the day, you get to do.
You aren't coders doing that?
Sorry?
Do you get people who aren't actually coders coming to those?
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yes. So we had quite a few ladies come along who they weren't coders, but they work on the tech team. And we've also had lots of product managers come along and say, I'm not technical, but I work with a tech team. I'd love to know more about the jargon, the language that everybody's using. And they literally just got involved in our teams for the day. We always do tech for good. Last year we raised money for Refuge. So our hackathons are free to attend, but we ask for a small charity donation to secure your place. And so we raised money for charity. The teams created apps and web applications for around the theme of women's safety and domestic violence. They really got into what that would entail. And then at the end of the day, they present, they have to do a little bit of public speaking as well in a supportive environment that you'll get the whole of the SheCanCode team just absolutely crazy, just screaming as you go on stage to make sure you feel supported. And then there's judges and prizes. And it's just not intimidating. Come along and try it. Hackathons sound like, oh, I can't do that. I'm going to have to, find a vulnerability in somebody's systems for a few £1,000s of prizes. That's not us. It's just a fun day. Just come along and try something new. So there's things like that. They are free. So if it's not for you, you haven't, spent a load of money on a boot camp that you thought, actually, this isn't for me. We also have several awards programs as well, because we love to highlight our community and what they're doing. So we always encourage people to nominate themselves or nominate colleagues that are doing amazing things to our Power Up series. We have the Pathways into STEM Awards, which is more for training and boot camps as well, and that one just launched. And there are just so many things where we can highlight you and what you're doing, and even creating content with us. We love to tell people stories. People don't think they have good stories to tell, and this amazes me because usually they do. And then they'll say, I spoke to a lady recently, she's been a flight attendant and she retrained and she came into tech. I'm like, how did you do that? What happened? Tell me your story. And they don't realize, those people, that it inspires other people who might be thinking the same thing. Should I be doing that? Should I, follow that path? There are lots of ladies in our community who told me that their husbands inspired them to go into tech. And a lot of that happened in lockdown. And they said, you know what? I saw my husband working at the kitchen table and thought, I could do that. I could retrain and do that. And there was one lady, she became a developer at M&S. After she retrained because her husband was doing it in lockdown. And there was another lady recently who told me she became a Scrum Master because her husband told her she should look into that. And it's that back to that visibility. But the more that we share people's stories that they're doing that, if you don't have that husband at home that you suddenly go, oh, that's a good job, then perhaps you read one of our stories and think, actually, I could do that. So that's kind of the way that we try and encourage our community to support each other and move forward and get involved in all the things that we do.
I think it's actually, I always believe it's like an awareness thing as well. I don't think, you guys are doing a great job. We've always pushed it very hard with trying to get, specific roles that have been diversity inclusion roles. I think it's an awareness of people not knowing that there's the ability to cross-train. There's loads of support with that. And as you mentioned, the big thing, I think it's probably not just technology industry specific, but there's way more jargon and way more job titles that, I mean, on the face of it, could be anything, but they don't necessarily mean what and which is quite intimidating. Like if you're applying for a job, it's tough to get into.
It can be, it's very difficult as well. You don't want to keep asking questions. In my job, I was quite lucky, especially as a young journalist. I'm there to ask questions, and I'd be at a lunch with somebody and I'd say, tell me about your new product or how this works. And they are super happy to draw on the back of a napkin how it works and tell you everything. But it's my job to ask questions. But if you're a new company and you think, I don't want to be that person that keeps asking, and I don't understand what on earth everybody is saying and all of these acronyms, and I swear they're just making them up as we go. So it can be quite difficult for people to think this is where I'm meant to be and I can really go, or is this going to be my entire life? Just Googling, what does that mean? Help me.
Yeah, I think there's so many transferable skills, isn't there? And then it's just a case of, as you say, whenever you sort of start a new job or a new place, it is a learning curve, and it is about sort of picking up those things. So I'm sure a lot of our recruiters here also come in and think, oh my gosh, what is everyone talking about, because of the types of roles that we recruit for. But, you soon sort of pick up that knowledge. And if you have the interest, then obviously that just helps, doesn't it? It's about having, a bit of personal drive and interest to learn and to do those sort of things.
Yes. And the transferable skills in tech, there is so many. It's just knowing how to tell your story and how you can transition from any industry and into tech. And tech is so open to that. I've spoken to a lady, she was a ballerina, and she said to me, what I did as a dancer, I had to be so disciplined, and I just transferred all of that into tech. And she said, and I just went off and I retrained and I applied everything that I did as a dancer, but I went into tech. And even parents, I would speak to a lot of parents who say to me, the skills I learned when I became a parent, I didn't realize how that would help me at work. And a lot of people think, I'm not going to be seen as valuable in the workplace anymore because I might need flexibility, or, I took time off as a parent. And actually you come back with all of these skills that you didn't have before. And one lady said to me, negotiation. So I didn't know that things that I didn't know were negotiable are now negotiable. But when you've got a toddler, you have to
negotiable.
So all of those skills that you now bring as a parent, it's just how to tell your story and how to make that stand out on your CV. And talking to people like you guys as well, the recruiters, and how to do that, how to stand out, because a lot of people always think they have to list the technical skills. And if they didn't get that computer science degree, they think that's it, I'm not going to stand out. And actually a lot of it is communication. It's a lot of soft skills, how to communicate with your stakeholders, be organized, dealing with conflict at work, when you have challenges on projects and all of those things. That's what companies are looking for. They're not looking for, we have a computer science degree, but you're not going to get on with the team, so that's not going to work.
It's true.
Absolutely.
I'd say that people are, this is generic, but they can be very lazy with CVs. And what they don't realize is it's like your shop window into your future career of like what you're looking for. And I think a lot of them become quite generic and quite like list all the tech, list some general experience. Where you're so right is what people are looking for. What have you done? What have you achieved? What could you bring? How good are your communication skills? Which is so important. And it's why, you can implement tons of AI into our process, but actually talking to people and getting an understanding, like you said, of someone that's cross-trained from a different industry, like huge skills they bring into a new business huge experience they bring into a new business. They're really sought after. I just don't think there's just more, there needs to be more people see opportunities and having that kind of, I suppose, amplified from whether it's a platform for them to understand where they can find those jobs, or people like us that try and reach out to people looking for those types of jobs. But it's interesting for us. It's a huge area, both as a business and with our clients, that we look to try and support. And it's one of the main reasons why, obviously, we formed a partnership with yourselves. But what are the impacts, or if there was a partnership or people trying to get involved with SheCanCode, how does that help you, and where would they start out getting involved with yourselves?
So in terms of partnerships with us, so we work with lots of different corporate ambassadors in lots of different ways. It's reaching out and letting us know your needs and on what you would like to get involved with. A lot of our corporate ambassadors say a lot of it comes down to employer branding and how your brand is seen, because you can put out as many job applications as you want, but a lot of the time they're not very well thought through. They include a lot of tick boxes, and then particularly women will read through it and think, well, I can't do all of those, so I'm not going to apply anyway. But if it all runs parallel with content and other activities that you're doing to showcase your company as the place to work and where people should want to work, because some companies, they think there's like a silver bullet to it, and that it's just going to happen overnight. Oh, we did, one article, or we put logos on our website and we think that's it. The one hilarious thing that I got told a couple of years ago was Slack groups. Oh, but we have a women in tech Slack group. Brilliant. But how does everybody feel when they come to work every day? Is very, very different. So we work to make sure that we showcase you as not just a good place to work, but to show what it's actually like, and to actually talk to the people that work there and why they love it. Your own people are the best advertisement as well, to talk about why they like to work there. But instead of, I was just trying to make it up sometimes, people can see through people. They can see that you've only, put a few things on your website, and then they interview, and then they might talk to HR and they'll think, yeah, this doesn't really align with what I saw on your website. So to keep having that constant, you're at our events, you sponsor our hackathons, you send mentors to help us at our events. There's all of that visibility of your brand as somebody that is just going above and beyond, that you genuinely want to close that skills gap, and that when you do get into our company, you're going to feel that at every level and everything that we do. If you need flexibility, you're going to see it, and our leaders are going to be held to account as well if you don't see it. So it's not just we put out one tweet on International Women's Day, well done us.
Exactly. I think that's exactly the kind of thing that we advise our clients around is, if you want to bring in more diverse people and have women in your teams, then, you need to offer a bit of flexibility, some work from home, good paternity, maternity packages, things like that. Like, women will look for those sort of things when they're looking for their careers, even if they're not at the stage to have children just yet, but they want to know that they're in a place where they will be supported going forward, and they will be welcomed back into the team when it comes, that precious 12 months is up and it's time to get back to work. It's, is that going to be facilitated? How are people going to welcome you back in? Are they going to make it a smooth journey? Have you stayed in touch with people? And it's about feeling all of that support. I think no matter what industry you're in, but particularly for tech where women aren't as well represented, then it's really important to sort of emphasize those points. And as I say, that's a lot of the advice that we sort of give to our clients as well around that kind of thing.
Yes, definitely. And that feeling of when you do come back, because tech moves so fast that does your company actually say, well, we're going to help you ramp back on, we're going to do a bit more training, we're going to get you up to speed, or they just let you drown because actually in the background they're just looking for somebody new? So there is that of how do they help you to come back and feel like you want to stay as well. I spoke with one lady and she was like, I don't really know what to, she came on our podcast and she said to me, I'm not sure what to talk about. And she said, I've had 4 children all at the same company. I was like, we need to talk about that, because if you've had 4 and you've stayed, then each experience must have been a positive one. So let's talk about that. What happened? What was the process? You must have felt like they were very supportive when you did come back, and that story would inspire loads of other people that are thinking, is this the time to have a family? And Karen, like you said, they might not be thinking it now, but there are women that are thinking, this is definitely not the place for me to start a family, and I'm going to make steps to move in that direction for when I am ready.
Absolutely.
I think it's interesting what you said as well about the, like 12 months is a really long time in tech, and it changes. And even in our industry, I think we've seen it, you know, where we support a lot of our staff around coming back to work, and you think you're being really supportive, but actually 12 months is a long time and a lot changes. And there's kind of that, you just as an assumption, like, yeah, you just get back into the role and everything's fine. And then, you know, they panic a bit, and it's a learning curve. But I think businesses that are more open with that and have, as you said, we've got more role models and more ambassadors and more keep in touch days. But I think it's something you really got to commit to as a company, and not just, as you said, sort of pay lip service with the odd tweet or post on LinkedIn.
Yeah, it happens, and it happens often, and it disappoints us. It's why I mean, our corporate ambassadors, you can tell the difference. As soon as they let us talk to their own people, you can tell that people really love working there. And that's why it's just the best to be able to interview their own people. But I mean, in the UK, women, it's only 21% of tech teams. They only make up 21% in the UK, which is absolutely insane. And that number is you know, it's 21% for a reason. And the gov.uk, they did a report, and they found that 1 in 3 women in the UK tech industry, they plan to leave their roles because of a lack of career progression, poor work-life balance, unsupportive culture. So 1 in 3 are already thinking, yeah, I'm going to find an exit from this company, which is not good.
Has that changed quite a bit, the 21%? Has that become better more recently? Because I feel like possibly with lockdown, has there been more opportunity to work from home, or has that not really changed?
It has changed. It is going up, thankfully. So when I worked at Computer Weekly, it was, 2012, we launched our most influential women in IT list. And it was kind of like a time where everybody was starting to talk about women in tech, and it was sort of spoke about, but we really wanted to start highlighting that. And that number was half. So a half of 21. So it's going in the right direction, thank goodness. But also it's just going very slowly, but you see it on the ground, because back in the day, you'd go to a tech conference and there would be no women, and you'd be on the show floor. And I've had this a few times, and some people have told me they've had this experience where someone will turn to you and say, go and get us a beer, love.
No,
because I'm not staff here. I know I'm the only woman you can see on this exhibition floor, but that's what it used to be like. Yeah. And there was just, if somebody spotted a woman, they thought she worked at the venue, and because it was very rare. But nowadays, when you go to a tech show, it's full of women. And what's lovely is there's a queue for the toilets. There never used to be a queue for the toilets at tech shows for women. So you can actually see it on the ground. And a lot of that has become the different types of roles in tech, and the visibility of all of the roles to work in tech. And you don't have to be a coder, a developer, an engineer, anything like that. There are so many other roles, and a lot of that has helped. So we are getting there. The numbers are still dire, but we are moving at least. And the good companies that are doing things, they're really putting their foot on the pedal to keep going. And there has been so much talk in the news recently about whether diversity is important, DE&I strategies are important to companies or not. And we have found that the companies that we work with, they've just doubled down. They have doubled down on what they do because they know if some others are backing away, that's absolutely fine. But we're going to keep moving in this direction because we know it's important. We see a difference in our bottom line as well. I remember that from years ago when people's ears actually pricked up, because I think it was McKinsey released a study at the time to say, actually, it does improve your bottom line as well. It's not a nice to have. Or wouldn't it be nice to have more diverse workforce? It actually improves your revenue. Diverse thinking can enhance your team's innovation as well. And all of those things, it's not just nice, it's can really boost your company's performance as well. And that's when people really started to listen and think, actually, this is just good for business. It's not just a nice to have.
Yeah, I agree. We both know, we've both been in this business for quite a long time. And I think, when we first started out, it was very rare for us to be getting female, technologist CVs through the door. And nowadays that is much improved. We've seen a year-on-year increase in the amount of female or technology placements that we've made, which is really, really encouraging. But as you say, that there's still so much work to do. And it is about, keeping that DEI focus around as well and not backing down. And I think, as you say, the companies that really keep it going will be the ones that experience that success.
Yes, exactly.
I'm pleased that you think it's going in the right direction, because for me, as you said, that figure of 1 in 3 are already thinking about that's really worrying in itself.
Yeah.
And I know that, as Karen said, we've been committed to D&I for ages, and we've done lots of different events, and I think there's more inspirational, as you said, role models and leaders in tech that are female that are out there, and great. But how do you? I suppose we've spoken about where it's come from. How do you see SheCanCode having kind of the biggest impact over the next 2, 3, 4 years? Where do you see the biggest changes there?
From our side, it is always sharing stories, encouraging other people to consider tech as a career is our main thing, to get people into the community, realize that other people are doing it, how they did it. It's not as hard as you think it is. And then also making those people visible to our corporate ambassadors. Our corporate ambassadors are screaming for these type of people that are coming in. They want to be a sponge. They want to learn new things. Just showcasing those companies as, hey, have you considered joining those companies? This is what life would be like, and actually helping to improve that pipeline as well. So how can we widen the talent pool available to ensure that more women get into those companies, more women are at least considered for those roles, but also supporting those companies on how they do that as well. So we also hold webinars for our own corporate ambassadors to connect the dots as well as to what they're all doing, because we need to share that as well. We have it's called CAKE, it's the Corporate Ambassador Knowledge Exchange, but we like to encourage you all to share what worked, what didn't work. We invite diversity consultancies as well to share their knowledge with you. They've been into companies, they've seen what isn't working, what's working. So to share that knowledge amongst yourself as well. We're all on the same path and we're all on the same mission. And that is something that we desperately want to support companies with, to support each other, not just our community members as well.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I'm conscious we've kept you quite a while, Kayleigh. Maybe as a last question, you could give, I suppose, if a parting comment or around, if a woman looking to break into tech for the first time, what kind of advice would you give them? What sort of pointers would you advise them to look into?
Oh, breaking into tech for the first time. That's a loaded question. You've kept me on my toes today. Probably and it's going to sound cliche, is to give things a try. We always advise people to give things a try for free, because there are lots of really good free resources out there. When people start looking for training in tech, it's expensive. It's a lot of it, you have to give up your job because you have to do, you know, a 12-week boot camp, and you think, well, I have a job, I can't do that on the side, and it's going to cost me like £10,000 to do it, and it might turn out I don't even want to do it. So a lot of people don't even pick those routes. So try something for free. There are some amazing boot camps, free training, and there are lots in the SheCanCode community that we have. We also get discounts on the ones that you do want to pay for, and our community posts certificates when they have gone through the training and say, I loved this is what I did, you should all try it here. So there's lots of people in there to nudge you in the right direction as well. Connect with people that are doing similar things to you. You can search through our members. If you want to learn Python, go and look for people that are learning Python, connect with them, ask them how they're doing it, what their day job actually entails. So find a network is definitely important. The other thing I would advise is know how to build your personal brand. And if you don't, go and ask someone to help you with that, because it will make you stand out. Amongst the crowd. If you are doing things and you post that you have got a new certification, I have been told by several community members, one lady told me recently that she posted her certification, and a company swooped in and messaged her and said, hey, we love what you're doing. We'd love to fill in the gaps for you and do the rest of the training if you come on board with us. So they swooped her up. She'd really worked on that personal brand. She got out there, and even though she didn't have all of the skills, they still hired her. And that is a piece of advice that I wish more of our community members knew as well. You don't have to have all of the skills. They just want people that are willing to learn. I had one young lady tell me she was told to learn C++ for an interview. And she had 2 weeks. She said, I didn't know C++. So I got 2 weeks, and she done it. And the test wasn't fantastic, but they called her up afterwards and said, we were so impressed that you learned C++ in 2 weeks. It was okay, didn't really pass, but we just love that you are up for anything. We could throw anything at you and you would learn it. So they hired her anyway. And it's just more people that should know that that's what companies want. They just want people that continuous learning, and that you are going to be like that throughout your career. And I think that's a piece of advice I wish more of our community members would know, and more people that are thinking about coming into tech. It's not as intimidating as you think. Everybody else is thinking the same thing. We're all screaming inside, I don't know what you're talking about. We're all thinking the same thing. So yeah, it's just getting in, giving it a try it for free, and just see where it takes you.
We really appreciate you joining us on Talking Tech, and we're really proud to be one of the corporate ambassadors for SheCanCode as well. So thank you very much for that, and also thank you to all our listeners for seeing today's episode. And we'll see you next time.